right, hang on. Ready, set, go. Good morning. It is 10 a.m. on the East Coast. Boogie with the Bull Uncensored Red Friday morning caffeine with Bill Buckler. Talking about our days yesterday we came on, and I said I had to apologize to Bill because I woke up, jumped in my chair at about 9:40, set up the studio, sent him the headphones, and then my wife looked at me and she said, "You dummy." She said, "The reason he's not here is it's Thursday." I said, "You're 100% right." So there is one spot when you see the Bros. It's October 20th because I couldn't figure out how to. Buckler is here, and like I said, it's Red Free. We talk about our days and get Bill's commentary as we move closer to the election. So, Mr. Bill, pick a spot you want to begin, and let's go.
Hey, good morning, Dave. Hey, it's always a pleasure to be with you on Red Friday mornings. And we kick off the weekend, kick off Friday, remembering our young men and women who are serving in the armed forces overseas. They're deployed overseas, remembering everybody deployed. And I've been the first one and the only one for the last several years saying, if you're on active duty, you're deployed because you can be here today and gone tomorrow. I mean, it just happens that fast. And with the current administration, I don't trust them. I don't know what they're going to do because I don't think they know what they're doing. For example, they withhold weapons from Israel, and then they give weapons to Israel, and then they say that it's based on this condition or that condition. And now we've set anti-missile battery. I guess it is. It's the latest technology that our Army has. Their Army. It's 100 soldiers to man it. And they're going to man this anti-missile equipment. I guess that's the best way to say it. To protect Israel. So what it does is it kind of adds an extra layer of security to their Iron Dome, which is the way of stopping the missiles. So it's almost like it's there's no such thing. It's not an Iron Dome, but what it is if Iran sends a missile in, the Israeli IDF, the Israeli Defense Force, has the ability to send their own missile out to intercept it, hit it in midair, and boy, you talk about precision. You got one missile leaving this from this direction, another missile coming from that direction, and these missiles aren't that big. I mean, maybe a foot around or something like that, and they hit each other. And there's been tens of thousands of these missiles that have been launched by Hezbollah, Hamas, the Houthis, which are the Dave. We laugh about this all the time. A bunch of primitive goat herders. They've got the latest technology, and where did they get that from? It's like, well, they didn't get it from Hamas, did they? They got it from Iran. So what they're doing is Iran, I guess, gives them this stuff, and who knows what else they give them, to fire on our ships in the Red Sea, fire on the Israelis and so forth. And we'll just have a proportional response. My proportional response is different than theirs. Go ahead.
I guess I just have to ask, is it ever going to end? Or will it only end when the same industrial defense contractors that are selling both sides whatever they need, will it end when they say they're just not going to sell to Iran and Israel, Ukraine and Russia.
Okay. Um, what we're really talking about is the weapons or the tools of war, the missiles of war, the instruments of war. The war itself has been going on for we're in 2024, and you go back to the year zero or whatever. I would say this war has been going on for what, maybe 5,000 to 7,000 years. I don't think it's going to end anytime soon. It's probably going to go on at least another 5,000 to 7,000 years. But what's happening is, and this is interesting because I want to get into this as well. Iran is manufacturing a lot of this stuff, but they're also getting stuff from North Korea now. So North Korea is bolstering their economy, their military industrial complex by manufacturing and assembling and sending to Iran missiles that can be used against Israel. And they're also sending them to Russia. So they've now got some kind of a new pact with Russia. And I don't know if we know all the ins and outs of this, but they've also sent 11,000 troops. Supposedly, I don't know if they're in Russia or if they're in the Ukraine or exactly what their status is and what they are. I think all we can surmise is there are 11,000 infantry soldiers that are going to march from Russia, North Korean soldiers now, North Korea, march from Russia into Ukraine to be exterminated, kind of like the Australian boys that were mowed down at Gallipoli. So, but the Russians don't care. I mean, who cares if they kill another 11,000 North Koreans? It's no big deal to them. And they don't have to pay for anything because they're all in this together. So we're in a terrible time. And the reason we're in this time is because our current administration has screwed up everything so badly. And they've been so poor about all this. And I mentioned this before. As former the Secretary of Defense Robert Gates said, the one thing about Joe Biden is everything he's ever done as far as foreign relations or international relations or anything like that is concerned is he's always been wrong. He's always messed it up, screwed it up. So we've got a lot of troops out there.
You were here when he. Well, I mean, of course you were here.
Yeah.
The years that Joe Biden was Foreign Relations Committee chairman in the impression from a lot of people he just didn't do squat.
Well,
did he mess up?
Whatever he did, he screwed up because he was always wrong on that. Here's the thing. We can see it happening today, every day. When something is wrong or weak or in disarray, the best way to handle that is to come out and profess the opposite. For example, everybody's hero, Walter Cronkite, except for mine and a few other people that know what's going on, know that this traitor, Walter Cronkite, was wrong about everything, and he's one of the guys who got all of our guys killed in Vietnam because he reported that the Vietnam War was lost when it wasn't. And so they came up with the idea. They thought, oh boy, we're screwed. So they came up with this slogan, the most trusted name in news. And they kept saying that over and over again, that pretty soon, every time you heard the word Walter Cronkite, you immediately thought the most trusted name in news when he was the most mistrusted name in news. So with Biden, what they said was they knew that he was so wrong about everything, but he's in the Senate, and he's been there for a while, and he's the chairman of the committee. What are we going to do? We're going to say Biden is the foreign relations expert. And they kept repeating that over and over and over again to a point where everybody said, oh, in the Senate? Oh, yeah, Biden in the Senate, he's the expert on foreign relations, when obviously he wasn't. We're seeing it today in this, and that's what I guess we can talk about a little bit. What they say now is that 11 days to the election. I think it's 11 days. Uh, Dave, um, by the way, Dave, I think you've got an unstable
We are
connection there,
we are
because every
experiencing
time you're
some.
talking, you're cutting out.
Yeah, we're experiencing a little bit of freezing. I talked to the people that I bought the new Windows laptop from, and there's some
Yeah,
drivers. There's a whole bunch of drivers that we have to update that we're going to do
yeah.
as soon as this broadcast is done. We did some of them yesterday, but we didn't get them all done.
So anyway, I'm kind of talking over you sometimes when you're trying to talk,
Yep.
which I don't want to do, but you're
No, I.
freezing up, and all of a sudden I realize, oh, Dave's frozen.
Yeah,
Actually, we're in Florida and it's warm enough that we don't get frozen, but
we
the,
don't.
the
We don't.
internet connection is frozen.
We don't. We
Now,
don't.
let's speak about Florida. Yesterday, very important day in Florida. Early voting opened up yesterday in Florida, and guess where your favorite Marine was?
Well, guess where? Guess where your favorite conservative patriot broadcasting person was? I was sitting. I was sitting at my desk because I got my absentee ballot because of my
Yeah.
disabilities and my handicaps, and
Oh,
just wanted to be
this this
sure that I could do it. So
usually you just
they
get
didn't give me
a
one of those.
little oval thing that says I
Yeah,
voted. This one is really pretty nifty.
yeah,
It's got the presidential seal on it. It says presidential election 2024, and I voted. So I voted
yeah,
yesterday. And in Florida, we had an interesting ballot in that we had 6 proposed amendments to the Florida Constitution,
yeah.
of which I studied. Boy, listen, I go in, I get all the information. I attended a meeting with Karen Healy, who's our Highlands County um, supervisor of elections. Boy, what a wonderful lady. I mean, this lady has got it down and she follows the law. And for example, our voting here in Highlands County concludes at 7:45, 7:30 in the evening. According to the law, she's supposed to have the results ready at 7:45, and she does. And you notice that in Florida, you don't have to wait until Friday to get your election results. You got them at 9, 10 o'clock in the evening. They got them all put together and everything, because we follow the law and we do it right. So anyway, I voted on these amendments, and anybody that lives in Florida that's watching, if you haven't voted yet,
Yeah.
I voted yes for all the amendments except for number 4. I voted no, absolute adamant no on 4, because 4 was to change the Constitution to give free abortion
Okay.
to anybody. I guess a kid could be a year old and still be aborted if they don't like them or something like that.
Mhm.
Unbelievable the way it was written, and we have to stop this madness. And the other ones were all kind of. There's a few of them that I could have gone either way on, and I kind of went with the way that I thought was. I hate to say this, one of them I thought was maybe the most expedient thing, but maybe in the long term I'm going to regret it. But Anyway, that'll be maybe that'll be an amendment, another amendment for another day, and I may not be around for that.
Ah,
But anyway,
you're going to
I
do
hope that everybody's going to vote. Don't take this for granted. And that brings me to the subject that I want to talk about. Anyway, Dave, is there something you want to talk about? And if you do, we'll do that, or you can let me go ahead and rant and rave.
make sure you go out and vote. Uh, Not just the state for yes or no. Make sure you read the actual bill or a simplified a simplified version of it if you can find one, because the problem with question 4 here in Florida is it was written from the point of view that yes, I guess means no, and no means yes, and the only important thing to me really was that the state is not funding any abortions. If you want an abortion, you should have access to one and you can go get one, but you pay for it. Or go to Planned Parenthood if that's what you're going to do and let them pay for it. But the reality, as far as I'm concerned, is money should not come or my wife's taxes or our son and daughter's taxes to fund your abortion. And that takes into account, yes, there are situations in life and an abortion needs support. I'm not against that. If it could hurt the mother, that's something your child. That's something you have to decide. If it's incest, rape, other crimes, then we don't have to mention the whole list of you know it to do. But you have to make that it needs to be removed from the government deciding you can get one. It, it is your body, I believe, and you, because if you're doing the deed, for lack of putting it better, but not solving Bill's intelligence, if you're doing the deed and you don't want to have children, there are plenty of ways to make sure that you don't have children. And again, they're not always 100% effective, but you know, 99.9% child is usually pretty good if you're not planning to have a child, unless then you can go further. The church says you got to wait till a certain age or you're married or this and that. I'm beyond all of that. People are going to do what they're going to do. But when it comes to creating a child, which is what I believe God created the deed for, if you don't want to end up with children, you should do your best to make sure that you don't end up with children. But now, Bill, you're probably chomping at the bit to speak your side of it.
Okay, the thing that's coming up now is the election,
Yep.
and what it boils down to, and I was trying to think of a way to describe this or talk about, it, and
Okay.
I guess I guess the election is, it's between two things. It's between the American dream and the machine.
Right.
So you want the American dream or do you want the machine? Now the machine says they are the ones who are going to give you the American dream, and the people who are promoting the American dream are going to be the machine. So
Yeah.
and in keeping with all that rhetoric, they have really upped the discourse on Trump is unhinged. He's Hitler. He's a fascist. I hear these people say I mean, Trump's a fascist. They don't even have any idea what the hell a fascist is. They
Most
couldn't
people don't.
they couldn't define one if they had to. I'm not sure I can define what a modern day fascist would be as opposed to the fascism of Mussolini and Hitler in the 1930s. But
Can
that's, Trump was in office for 4 years.
yeah,
And what did he do? He didn't destroy the Constitution.
yeah,
He didn't become a dictator. He wasn't a fascist leader like Hitler. And so, they're coming up with all these stories. The latest one is they're trying to demean Trump by saying that he called our armed forces personnel when I guess they came back from I guess the ones who were the one was killed or whatever, and they said he was suckers and losers. But then Kayleigh McEnany on Fox News said she was there because she was the press secretary, and Trump never said that.
right,
But the guy from the Atlantic, Jeffrey Goldstein, I think it is, or Goldman, or whatever, I can't think of his name right now.
right,
He's a guy that says, my sources said that he said that. And my sources are impeccable. I trust my sources. Well, did you ask Kayleigh McEnany? She would be a good source since she was actually there. Anyway, the young lady who is a sister of this soldier who was killed, she's is really upset about the machine, uh, and she said they're lying about this. Well, we know that's all they do is they lie. So now there's and maybe I'm skipping something here, Dave, but I want to. The next point I wanted to bring up was the polling shows that Trump is ahead in the national vote. I can't believe that, but the national vote is meaningless, as you and I talk about. We want to know what the electoral college vote number is, and we can't get that. Nobody will report that number, but that's the real number of who's going to be the next president. You have to have 270 electoral votes. You can have millions and millions of popular votes. It doesn't
right.
make any difference. Who cares? But that's that's what they feed us
I've,
from the media, the mainstream media, the
I've
fake
still never
news media.
understood that because the electors, the delegates that make up the electoral college, they're not. If say where you are in Florida, your elector doesn't agree with everybody in your area who said go and vote for Trump, he can go and vote for Harris, right? He's not bound to vote the way you told him to go and vote, right?
The electoral votes, no. If Trump wins, as an example, if Trump wins a popular vote in Florida, all of the electoral votes go to Trump. No
Okay,
one has any no one has any way of saying I'm not going to vote for
okay,
Trump. I'm going to vote for Harris because I don't like Trump.
okay. That
No,
okay.
100%.
That I only bring it up because it's something
Every
I never understood because
okay,
George Bush.
every state except for one
Yep.
has that law in their constitution
Okay.
that all of the electoral votes go to one person except for in Nebraska. They can split them.
Okay.
Now, what's interesting is this race apparently is so close, it's unbelievable that Biden actually went to New Hampshire to try and get the New Hampshireites to vote for Harris. And,
Yeah.
apparently what we're seeing is Biden and Harris don't like each other
No, they
very
don't.
much. Well, that's one thing I got in common with the two of them. I don't like either one of them either.
I, I guess the only reason I question the electoral college vote is that is is it true or is it just BS after the fact speculation that George Bush Jr. G.W. Bush won the popular vote, but Al Gore won the electoral vote, which which means that if that is in fact true,
No, no,
Al
wait a
Gore should
minute,
have been
wait a
president.
minute,
Okay,
Dave. In the year 2000, the election,
yep,
there's nobody by the name of George Bush Jr., by the way. There's George W. Bush, who was the ended up being the 43rd president, as opposed to George H.W. Bush, who was the 41st
right,
president.
right,
So in the
right,
year
right.
2000, Al Gore ran as the nominee from the Democrat Party, the machine, and George W. Bush, who they all called W, he ran on the American Dream Party. Okay. What happened was Al Gore won the popular vote. The Democrats win the popular vote every election. I
Okay,
can't think of an election unless you go all the way back to 1984, which is 40 years ago, that the Republicans won the popular vote. The Democrats win the popular vote every year.
okay,
So in the year 2000, uh, Florida at that time had the old Democrat machine in place and had these voting rules and everything where they were kind of looking at the ballots and
yeah,
saying, there's hanging chats and all that crap to determine if Florida had who had the most votes. And because Bush had the most, ended up with the most votes, I think it was like 650 in the state of Florida, which, boy, that's a thin margin. All of Florida's electoral votes went to Bush, and therefore he won the election because he received more than 270 electoral
okay,
votes. The 270 is there's 269 and 270. That's the middle point. So if you get 269
okay,
and 270, so 270 is how many you need to have. So what the Democrats want to do is because they know they're going to win the popular vote. Kamala Harris is going to win the popular vote in this 2024 election. There's no doubt about that. She will win the popular vote. But will Trump be able to win the electoral college vote, which is going to hinge on the swing states? And there's 7 of them. Kind of west to east is you got Arizona and Nevada is 2. You got Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. That's another 3 is 5, and North Carolina and Georgia is 7. Those that's what they call the ones up in the upper Midwest they call the blue wall because they've been traditionally Democrat states. Trump won those in 2016. If Trump can win a few of those swing states, he will become the president because he will have enough electoral votes because the majority of the states will vote red are the American dream, and the blue states will vote for the machine. Now here's the rub on this. The Democrats want to do away with the electoral college. They despise the electoral college because they despise the republic. They want a democracy. And they keep saying they want a democracy. And they say Trump is going to uh, disband the democracy. Our founding fathers said, we abhor democracies. We do not want a democracy because democracy is mob rule. Let me give you an example how this can work. The state of New York has a lot of people. they get somewhere around close to 40 electoral votes. The state of California has an awful lot of people. They get about 40 electoral votes. But when they get those electoral votes, they also they get them because they win the popular vote. So they get like 80-90% of the popular vote. So they come up with millions and millions of excess votes in those states. And so that makes it look like their candidate, the machine candidate, has won the election. But that's not the way the founding fathers set it up, because they did not want a couple of states to control the country. They wanted the entire country to have a say in it, in the Republic of the United States, not the democracy, the Republic. We are a republic. We pledge allegiance to the Republic. We don't pledge allegiance to the democracy. So you can pile up millions and millions of votes in California and New York, and that can win the popular vote. But if that was the case, and the electoral college was done away with, a candidate like the machine candidate like Harris could go in and get 90% of the votes in California and New York, which would be millions and millions of votes, by saying, if you vote for me, I'm going to give you everything. I'm going to give you, $100,000 a year. You won't have to work. I'm going to pay. I'm going to give you and build you a house. I'm going to give you a car and a phone. I'll give you everything you want. You'll have free food, everything. You won't have to work again. You'll have everything you want, and we'll put all together. We'll put up all these different facilities that you can go hiking and ice skating or do whatever you want to do. And the rest of the states, the other 48, is going to pay for it. Even though the other 48 voted, if you just took their votes, they actually had more votes. But they don't have enough votes to outvote those two big states. And so we can't have the United States people governed by a machine that controls New York and California, and I can add in Chicago, which controls the state of Illinois. State of Illinois. My family's from Illinois. Conservative state, vote Republican, except for Chicago, has so many people, such a dense population, and they all vote for Democrats because the Democrats give them the free stuff. And then you got Massachusetts and Connecticut, a few states like that, New Jersey. They all vote for the Democrats to get their free stuff, and that's what they've done all along. So what we would have is just a handful of states which would control the entire country, and so the rest of us in Florida and Missouri and Arkansas and Montana or wherever, we'd be working and paying all kinds of taxes to get the people in California and New York free stuff so they can live free for the rest of their lives, which eventually would mean that everybody would move to those states. And you can imagine the chaos there would be, because I would say, hey, I'm going to move to California so I don't have to pay any taxes anymore, and I can get all the free stuff. I can live free, It'd be utter chaos. So that is what the machine wants. The machine wants utter chaos, because that's how they control. That's how they rule. They don't govern, they rule, they control.
That's how the machine tries.
I wish the American people could understand how all this works, but nobody knows anything, because how can this vote be almost tied I mean, you got in the polls, both candidates now. Trump supposedly has got a little bit of edge in the in the national vote, but those are just polls, and we all know those polls that mean nothing because it depends on the questions, how they ask the questions, who the people are that they poll. It just they're just not reliable. But how can this race for president be so tight and so close when you have people who want the American dream? They want to be able to buy a house, but they can't because the Fed has upped the interest rates so high because they're trying to control inflation for the Democrats who screwed everything up by pumping all this fiat money with no value into the economy, into our financial system. So the American dream of owning a home, pretty much forget it. Being able to go out and buy some food and have some money left over so you can buy a couple of six packs so you can watch a football game on Sunday. Forget it. You can't do it because you can't afford to put gas in the car because the gas prices are so high. So the machine is controlling everything. And what does the machine want? They want everybody driving EVs. Well, how's that going to work when you gotta produce some kind of electricity to charge those batteries, and you can't do the solar and windmills. Ain't gonna produce that much. Ain't gonna generate that much electricity. Now you're in my wheelhouse. I've worked in the power industry, in the power generation industry. I know how this works, and what it ain't gonna work if everybody has to drive an EV. So if you want to vote with the machine, you're going to vote for EVs, electric vehicles. Now, if somebody wants to buy an electric vehicle, they can buy them. I don't care. But don't tell me that I got to drive one because I'm very happy with my gas guzzler that I can drive around here in Highlands County and get about 22 to 24 miles to the gallon. If I drive over to see my daughter over in Cape Coral, which is about 100 miles away roughly, I can get 30 miles a gallon. That's good enough for me. And my car doesn't produce any emissions. That's BS that they keep telling us, oh, and do we have dirty air and dirty water? I don't think so. You can drink the tap water here in Florida. And I've worked all over the country, and you can do the same thing everywhere. But the bottled water industry is doing the bottled water industrial complex is alive and well. Okay. Wait, Dave, the machine has got the people convinced that Trump is a fascist. Now, also in the polls, apparently, one thing they're coming up with is they're asking mostly young people are getting polled about Kamala Harris. And they say, we don't know what she's about. We don't know her. Well, we've talked about this, Dave. I mentioned this about a month ago. I can tell you everything about Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris is a person of color. She's a woman of color. Period. That's all you need to know. Because the low information, uneducated voters are they're going to vote for a woman and they're going to vote for a black person. End the story. That's it. We don't care whether she's going to govern us well. We don't care if she's going to wreck the country. We don't care if she's going to destroy the economy. She's a woman of color, and that's all we need to know.
Okay, but the reality is that she's not. So what if Donald Trump started standing up at his rallies and said, vote for me because I'm a woman of color? and he does it every day, 24 hours a day until the election, where people vote for him thinking that he's a woman of color.
And well, he won't be able to get away with
No,
that
no, no. I know,
because
I know, I
because
know.
he's got orange hair, and that's another thing. They are against anybody with orange hair.
They are orange
Oh
hair,
boy. Hey
orange
Dave.
hair, orange skin. I don't know, but
No, anyway, identity politics is controlled by the machine.
yeah,
Think about what the machine relies on. They rely on people of color. We saw that Obama came out and as they say, he scolded the black guys because they weren't all in lockstep voting for a woman of color. And that's the machine speaking. You gotta go with the machine or else. And if you think that it's immoral, which Kamala Harris said, it's immoral for white guys like me and you, Dave, to say we can't control our body and kill off the kids that we're producing because of our unprincipled, uh, irresponsible sexual activity, then we're immoral. Well, I got to tell you, killing babies is really what's immoral. So that's what
right.
they're saying because they want to accuse the people who have an American dream of building a family. They have to go with the opposite of it. So they have to accuse the people who want the American dream that they're immoral, and they have the moral high ground, which they don't have. Oh boy, I could go on.
If when Trump wins and he names his new attorney general and they rebuild the Justice Department, not for anything like because the prior Justice Department under Merrick Garland went after Trump, but because of things that the Biden Harris regime did that they should not do. Should Trump say to the Attorney General, you need to investigate these people, come up with your own conclusion, and if they broke laws and you can prove that they broke laws, prosecute them, or should he leave it alone?
I'm sure that our viewers are going to be probably wanting Trump to go after him and seek revenge. I am not that guy. I just fear if we win the election, move on and get the
Yeah,
country operating properly again, get us back to a rule of law, focus on getting the criminals, forget about Harris and Obama and Clinton and Merrick Garland and Jack Smith and all the rest of these reprobates. Forget about them because they're going to be out of power. Let's go after the criminals and get rid of the criminals and let's deport all of these illegal aliens that invaded our country. Let's get rid of them and start out with the Trende Aragua, the TDA people who are taking over towns and areas throughout America. That's what we need to focus on. And I'm just not a revenge type of guy.
yeah.
They can once they're out of power, they're not going to be able to do anything anyway. So forget about them. Let's go after what's really hurting America.
What,
Yeah, what I love to see Merrick Garland and Jack Smith and a few of them behind bars for the rest of their lives. Yeah, I would enjoy that, but I don't want to spend the time and the energy and the money and the resources to go after them and make that the part of the new administration. I want the new administration to fix America
Yeah.
and forget about these despicable reprobates.
You,
Oh
you,
boy.
you think after 4 years of being vice president with President Trump, that J.D. Vance will be ready to step up and continue in the, I hate to put it this way, I really do, but in the Trump tradition of being president, you think that he will continue to move us in that direction?
JD Vance is a guy who has his own ideas. He's a very intelligent, accomplished guy. He's an America First guy. He's a guy who wants to promote the American dream. And as far as being president, I can tell you that right now, today, JD Vance is more qualified by far than Obama was, that Hillary Clinton was, that Biden was, that Kamala Harris was, far more qualified than any of them put together. In fact, boy, I got to tell you,
No, go ahead.
I'm,
I, I'm
I'm,
putting you on. I'm putting you on the spot.
okay. I'm
I'm
going to
putting you
say
on the
something.
spot, and I know you don't like being put on the spot.
No, no, you're not putting me on the spot. Anyway, if JD Vance gets the nomination and is elected president, he's not gonna he's not gonna he's not gonna do what the machine wants. He's
Yep.
gonna follow the American dream.
Yep.
He's gonna put
Now,
America first. He's a Marine.
okay. Now I am gonna kind of put you on the spot because I am not sure I believe this, but in my own head, they've tried now 3 times to take out President Trump. Harris concedes on the fourth. Trump is the president. Something happens, God forbid, before the inauguration. That makes J.D. Vance. Does that make J.D. Vance the president if Trump has not been inaugurated? And if it does, do you think he's ready to jump in right now and do what we need?
I
I've
just
never understood if something happens to the
well,
president
if something,
elect,
yeah,
does the vice
JD
president elect
JD
take
Vance
over?
JD Vance then is elevated to the presumptive nominee, president,
Okay.
and as I just said, JD Vance is far more qualified than Biden, Harris, Clinton, Obama, all of them put together. He's
Okay.
far superior and far more qualified to lead our country than any of them ever hoped to be. So yeah, I would have no problem with
Well,
J.D. Vance being the president. I would have no problem with Tulsi Gabbard being
yeah.
president, or I would have no problem with Vivek Ramaswamy being
Okay.
president. I would have a little bit of problem with Robert Kennedy
Yeah.
Jr. because even though he's supporting Trump, which is nice, he's still I can go along with him on his environmental
Yeah.
uh,
So
thought his environmental
so I'm clear.
leanings.
So
So
I'm clear that you would never see a. Well, it's too late now, but you would not have seen a Trump Kennedy ticket with the
no,
way that.
that
Okay.
would never happen.
Okay.
Yeah, that
I've asked
I
you
heard
before.
people
I know, and
speculate on that, and
it's Looney Tunes. I know, but it's
yeah,
just
that was nonsense. That wasn't going to happen.
okay.
Let's face it, Trump is the head of the Republican Party, but still in all, he relies on the donors, and the donors
No.
are not gonna go with Kennedy
Yeah.
as president. Now, here's something that's interesting. It was brought up by my son. Was telling me he really gets into the into all this, and he said that he thinks that Jill Stein is going to take away a lot of Kamala Harris's votes, and she could take enough votes away from them in Harris in some of the swing states that could move some of these swing states from blue to red. Now, that's an interesting theory. Now, that is something to talk about. Is
Okay.
is the machine kind of fractured, and maybe not everybody is really excited and overjoyed with the fact that what they did to Biden by taking him out and putting Harris in, and that they don't think that Harris has the mental acuity to
Yep. That's
be the commander in chief. Let me here's another thing, Dave. This will help answer your question.
okay.
Who would you prefer have the nuclear codes, J.D. Vance or Kamala Harris?
JD Vance,
You
without a
bet.
doubt. Without a doubt.
Who would you prefer to be the commander in chief of our Department of Defense of our armed forces? J.D. Vance or Kamala Harris?
Well, I could answer that two ways because the commander in chief leads everybody into battle, so the first shot might be, but I won't say that. But JD
No,
Vance, but JD Vance, JD
no
Vance, JD Vance.
the president is the commander in chief.
Right.
It's not like the days when
I know. Washington was
the
president. Yeah.
Alexander the Great led
Right. Right.
his troops in the battle.
Right.
He's the commander in chief, and he has a secretary of defense underneath him. But the commander in chief is the person who pretty much sets the tone for
Yeah.
what the military is going to do and how we're going to do it and everything like that. So my question then is,
JD
would you
Vance.
rather have J.D. Vance as commander in chief of our armed forces,
JD
or would
Vance.
you rather have?
JD
Yeah.
Vance. But
Okay.
let me throw a tinge at. Well, I know you're still going to say JD Vance, but what happens if Kamala Harris had been a Marine and JD Vance was a Marine? Then you got the machine voters. But I personally think, and I've said it before, there are enough blue voters when they get into the poll and they close the curtain and they're looking and they're reading and they're thinking and they're praying and they're talking to God. God is going to say to them, you know, you want to pull that red knob. You know it. You know it. You can't, and I'm God, so you can't lie to me. You know you want to pull the, you want to pull the red knob. You know you want to punch the red button. You know, I still believe that, like you just said, the whole story about how Kamala got Joe to step down is still a story that has not been told. I want to hear what happened. Just like when Hillary got Bernie Sanders to step down. I know it was a lot of money, I'm sure, and a lot of free or whatever, but I want to know what Barack and Kamala, who probably didn't say anything in that meeting, just sit there and listen to Barack speak. Maybe George Soros was there too. What they had to say to Joe to make him step down, because up until he decided to all of a sudden, he was adamant going to run.
The this is I think is going to be one of those great mysteries of life that is going to be sealed off, pretty much like who shot JFK. We
Yep.
still don't know that. We still don't know about Area 51. We don't know about UFOs in Roswell, and I don't think we're ever going to know about Biden getting axed.
Now Trump has said
And
Trump
I know, yeah, I know. Curiosity
it
is,
killed the cat.
we're curious people. There's
We
no
are,
question about it.
but
But
but Trump has said that if he is back, he thinks it's time to release the Warren Commission report. But then he also looks at the camera and his face loses all expression. So you have to think that he's as serious when he says, if you had read it and you know what's in it and you've seen the pictures that are in it, as I have, maybe you don't want to read it. And he,
Yeah, because that might expose the fact that the CIA is in charge of the
yeah,
machine and the CIA runs everything. And oh boy, Trump has got to get rid of the CIA. At least, at least the top leadership, at least the top 5 or 6 or 7 levels of bureaucracy in the CIA and start over. But
and
boy,
people were
uh,
saying,
we none of us really know how seriously or how much influence that the CIA has over everything we do, including our elections.
that,
And boy, the CIA it runs the machine. The CIA is not running the American dream. But getting back to what I was talking about before, if
okay,
you really want to know which way to go, just ask questions like, would you prefer to have JD Vance in charge of our border, or would you rather have Kamala Harris in
absolutely
charge of our
no.
border?
No, because for 3.5 years she didn't do anything, and now she wants to tell us what she wants to do at the border. Well, three and a half
Yeah.
years of letting up to like 50 million people that don't belong here already in.
Well,
Yeah,
and they keep talking about this border bill that they say Trump told his sycophants to destroy or not vote for, and in that border bill, that was the one where they could bring in what 5,000
yeah, I think it was
a
5,000.
week,
Yeah, 5,000.
1,500 a day, no
Yeah,
more than 5,000 a week, and we were going to bring in what an extra 1,500, 2,500 border agents, and they were going to be there to process the illegal invaders that were coming in. They weren't going to stop them. They were just
Title
going to
42 would have been back.
set some caps on it. And we know that that's never going to work because we know that there's as many gotaways as there are ones that get processed. And we have no idea how many millions of gotaways because when they report gotaways, those are the only ones that they happen to see on the camera. If they weren't watching, if they didn't have anybody to watch that camera that day, they didn't see him, or if they went through, or if they snuck through the border where there weren't cameras, which the cartel knows where all the cameras are. They know
Now,
more about this border than we
yeah.
do.
Now, another question. Someone brought up on last night's broadcast that I guess there are more problems actually on our northern border with people sneaking in from Canada. Then it's not just people coming over the southern border and coming in. It's people. It's the same types of people maybe, but they're coming in from the north. Is, have you heard anything on that? It's in the book. It's in the
I,
book.
I, I wrote about some of the terrorists that came in to America came in the southern border. Some came in. They were smuggled in by boat, and some of them came through the northern border. And I wrote it as fiction, but it's fact. It's fact. Yeah, it's all in this book. I wrote it.
Yep.
And
Yep.
everybody that's reading this book is saying, "Wow,
Yep.
you nailed it." Unfortunately, we don't have enough people that really want to
I have to.
learn,
I have.
learn
Well,
about
I'm going to tell people that I read the first 4 chapters and then I forgot where I put the book. So I moved. I found it and I put it someplace else. Then I lost it again. So now I got to put it on my desk as soon as I find it and sit down and read it.
it.
It's very,
Yeah,
very,
as soon
very
as soon as you
easy.
get into it,
I mean,
we
I can
we,
understand
we
it even
can.
with my dementia, but yeah. But I mean, it's
Yeah.
very, very easy reading. It's 300 pages. The chapters are not very long, and if you're an accomplished reader, read it. in a few hours. On a nice day, take it out in the sun and sit.
Well, if you're a speed reader, I guess you could read it in about 4 to 6 hours.
Yeah,
People who are pretty accomplished readers, they might spend 2 or 3 days on it.
yeah.
Or somebody that just has 15 or 20 minutes a day and they read a chapter or two a day. They'll have it read within 3 or 4 weeks.
It
But
makes you
Dave,
want to read more.
What you've got to do is we got 11 days till this election. Once this
Yep.
election is up, we need to start talking about this, and you
We need
can't
to
talk
start
about
talking
this
about
with
that.
me if you
We
ain't
will.
read it.
We will. We need to start talking about that. And as soon as we finish going through 6, it's time to break out the Conservative Patriot Bible, as I call it, the New
Yeah. So we've
Testament,
we've got our
2020, a
we
clear
got
vision
the
for our future. Ready for that.
we've got we've got the next
We
couple of
got what?
years all mapped out, just
I'm
exactly where we're
sorry.
going to go with this. Okay.
Yep.
Hey,
All right.
Dave, it's time to let our viewers go. It's 11 o'clock exactly. We've
All
been
right.
bloviating and ranting and raving for 60 minutes. I'm sure that people have heard enough of us. Before I go, I want you to notice that I have my Cardinals baseball cap on because the World Series starts tonight. And even though we're completely consumed with all this political crap, life goes on, and America's pastime has its World Series. It's
Yep.
the Yankees and the Dodgers. That's a classic. The only classic that would be greater than that would be the Yankees and the Cardinals. The Yankees have won, 26 World Series? The Cardinals have won 11. The Dodgers have won 7. Those are the leaders. So I'm rooting for the Yankees because I don't want the Dodgers to catch up with the Cardinals until the Cardinals can get their stuff together so they can start winning some more championships. Because the Cardinals have won the most in the.
Okay. Should unlock just about now. Whoop, no, it's still locked up. I hate this. We're going to get these drivers fixed, and hopefully that will take care of this a little later this afternoon. Come on, Bill. Did we lose Bill? Did we lose Bill? All right, we lost Bill. I apologize for that. It was freezing on our end. I was told by someone at TechLast who made the new Windows 11 Pro laptop I have is that some of my drivers may be seriously out of date and are being overworked. So we're going to try to update. I know that yesterday we tried to install a printer on Donna's phone, Donna's Chromebook, my Windows 11 Pro, my phone, a couple other tablets around here that I use because we each always have something to print. And we had to sit for about 45 minutes as it updated drivers on just about everything. So if you buy something new, do your updates on it, catch the updates when they come in. If you're accomplished and you know what you're doing, jump ahead and update them all. I guess I can tell you. But anyway, people, like Bill said, we're coming down to the wire. It's 7 days. I don't know the exact number of days. I can pull out a calendar and tell you right now, but it doesn't really matter. It is very, very important. If you can, go to the poll and vote. Listen to the word of Michael Anthony. Bring your lunch, bring your laptop, whatever. And, if you have to, park your motorhome in the parking lot by the collection boxes, and watch people turn in their ballots. And make sure nothing happens to those boxes. You know, protect the sanctity of the election. And sit where you can and watch the polls. And some people say they will get involved if there are altercations, and some people say they will just make sure they contact the proper authorities. I'm going to tell you, you do what you think you have to do. If you are handicapped and disabled like me, the absentee ballot and vote. And it's your decision if you put it in the mailbox in front of your house and send it in, or take it down to the post office and hand it to somebody in your city or your county and turn it in to one of them. That's usually what I do. But this time I think I'm just going to drop it in the mail and or drop it at the post office and try to hand it to the local post office or postmaster if he or she is there and hand it in. Uh, I don't really know anymore. I'm 62 years old. I grew up in this country. I love this country for what we are allowed to do. And has government gotten out of control? Yes. Could this affect the future of elections in this country? Yes. Uh, I don't know what the choice is because I don't necessarily believe that right now would be the perfect time to elect a new government, meaning people that have never served in the House or the Senate, uh, not necessarily a president that hasn't served before, but elect a House and Senate that may not have served before. But do we have the time to train everybody, or do we start to wean out the people who have been there forever? Do we wean out the Maxine Waters? Do we eliminate the Nancy Pelosi's who are still there? Do we remove stupidity? Uh, what do we do? The important thing is, yes, you go out and vote. The important thing is you go out and vote for the country that you want to have. If you vote for Kamala Harris, you obviously don't want to have the same country that Donald John Trump promises to do his best to return to you as you had when he left. Just remember, gas prices were in the $1.80 range when Joe Biden became president elect, and they have not returned anywhere near $1.80 a gallon. Maybe they can, maybe they should. I don't know. I don't like price control, so I don't know how you work that in. But everybody that lives in the United States of America that is a citizen has the right to own a vehicle to get yourself around and a home to live in, food prices that you can afford to buy, and not worry about everything that's in the food that's going to kill you. You know, if it was me, then I'm just sitting around waiting for today's meal going to be the meal that kills me. And I just don't want to do that. This is probably by far the most important election in the history of the United States, and I'm sure it's said every single election that we go into. This is by far the most important one because this is the one of the ones recently that will probably be in the history books and maybe in high school history and civics, if that ever comes back to high school or college, and political science classes forever to try to understand what happened. Like I said to Bill, I want to know what happened. I want to know how Kamala Harris and whoever decided that he wasn't going to run and what they had to do to Joe Biden to agree that he wasn't going to run. Uh, Kamala Harris is trying to distance herself from being Joe Biden's vice president for the last 4 years, and she really can't do that because that's where you get the experience to convince the states that you should become the president and a do nothing vice president, nothing on either border, north, south, east, west. There's obviously going to be a president who does nothing north, south, east, west. I asked last night where Trump wanted to go after El Presidente of Mexico and have them kick in like $20 billion worth, helping us close off the border, and that never happened. Uh, and then, like I said, it was brought up that our north border is in trouble. Well, maybe we should talk to Canada and say, hey, it's $40 billion to build the border. We'll pay 20, you pay 20, and we'll split the responsibilities of protecting it. And maybe we will be able to take care of who's here already that shouldn't be here and move them and get ourselves back to where we need to be. You know, I said yesterday, or we talked a little bit yesterday about what we get for Social Security. Chuck Cook brought it up. We get a certain amount. And I had said, we get this amount while our government, our House and senators are more concerned with making sure McDonald's people who live at home, don't pay rent, get $25 an hour for their first job. I get $25 an hour for any job until I started my own livery business. And when I started my own livery business, I split with drivers, and so I didn't pay myself $25 an hour until years of being in the business and learning every single aspect of it and being able to operate one and knowing that I kept people happy and all that stuff. And everybody seems to agree that McDonald's job is not going to be your career. And if you talk to McDonald's managers, McDonald's franchisees that I know, they usually say that after 6 months, if you haven't made it into the management training program, whether it's to become a shift manager or a manager of a franchise, and maybe even work your way up to being your own franchise one day, then they're not interested in you because they don't pay people down at the bottom, down working the kitchens, cleaning the toilets, cleaning everything else, doing whatever else they do. They don't pay those people a lot of money because you're not worth doing the job until you get into management. Wrong, and all these years later, maybe they just are concerned with staffing the people. Because if they're really concerned with staffing the people, they're putting kiosks in, you go in and type your order. The next step is an automated kitchen is going to hand it. An automated kitchen is going to make it, and a robot is going to hand you your tray. We're living in a world where automation sometimes brings convenience, and sometimes I don't know. Sometimes it's a good thing, sometimes it's a bad thing. There's going to become a day where robots and whatever are going to pull your Amazon order, put it in a box, and load it on your truck, and another robot is going to drive the truck, or maybe that robot will drive the truck and make your doing. I don't know. I don't know if it's a good thing. I don't know if it's a bad thing. The new port workers contract, I don't know, 65, 70% raises, better health insurance, which, is things that American workers deserve. Some automation will be brought in to make the job a little bit more efficient. Maybe they can run automated shifts in the middle of the night, and American workers can be home sleeping or spending more time with their families. And I don't really know. I'm not always in favor of fully automating something. Uh, you know, my experience with automation information was the radio station where, if they had been 2 minutes of me talking and slap it into a cart machine and then go back to sleep, you know, Otto would have played me talking and I would have gone back to sleep. I would have gone to take a nap and I would have woke up and I wouldn't have gotten fired. So maybe it would have been a good thing back then. I don't know. But I digress. The important thing is I don't care if you get an absentee ballot. An absentee ballot is different from a mail-in ballot. I do not believe the United States Postal Service should mail a ballot to everyone listed to receive mail at every address in the United States of America, mainly because sometimes it is wrong. People died and they shouldn't be sent a ballot. People don't live at that address anymore. They shouldn't be sent a ballot. And the problem is if the post office finds 17 addresses for you, they're going to send ballots to all 17 addresses. And I don't know if maybe there needs to be a additional steps in the process because I called and said, "Here's my name. I lived in Middleburg, Florida, moved to Jacksonville, Florida. Uh, this is the new address." They made me confirm the old address, and then boom, they sent it to me. But maybe it needs to be, you know, maybe it needs to be a video call and where they can see my face, and I have to send something in. But I don't know. Maybe you have to go in person and request it and prove that it's you, and then hope that I really don't know. No one's going to be happy with however it's going to be. Democrats aren't going to be happy if the post office can't just mail you 17 ballots and hope that you vote and you only vote once at the address where you live. Uh, I don't really know. Hold on just a moment. Let me read something. Okay. We were trying to get something sent to me yesterday, and we had trouble trying to get it. So I will follow the instructions and see if I can get it. It came back saying it was too big. You're really going to like it when you see it. You're really going to like it when you see it. But anyway, I want to thank everybody who watched this morning. Michael Anthony, William Grant, David Novar, Michael Stewart. I am not able to share again today. So at some point today, the share restriction should go away, and hopefully, when I'm on the American Rebellion tonight, Friday, 7 p.m., I'll be back Eastern, 7 p.m. Eastern. I'll be back and able to share because that's important to me. Broadcast that I'm on and on my own broadcast, it's important to be able to share it to as many people on Facebook and as many people on YouTube and other places that we can share it to. I don't profess to know everything about everything. Well, maybe I do, but I'm always open to hearing other people's views. Sometimes I get argumentative, but I don't really need to do that. But the whole idea of my broadcast was to give as many people as want to come and speak the opportunity to come and speak, and as many people as want to come and watch and learn. I always tell people, go to a broadcast that I'm on or a Boogie with the Bull broadcast, bring out a pad of paper and a pencil and write things down as you are listening to everybody. And then at the end of the broadcast, take your notes and review them, and the ones you don't agree with, cross out. The ones that you do agree with, circle. And I always tell people, send them to me. The things that you agree with, the things you don't agree with, so that I know. Because if we're talking about things that you don't want to hear us talk about, we're wasting your time. Tell us. Give me ideas that you want to talk about. Last night with Michael Anthony, I was impressed. Michael looked into his camera and said, "Okay, everybody who's watching, please give us some ideas." And Jane O'Malley gave us a few ideas. David Navarre gave us an idea. I try to do that. Nobody does that. But if other people will do it, then great. Glad to have Chuck Cook with us. He's new, and hopefully you'll see him on broadcasts on Tuesdays to 8:30, sometimes 9 o'clock, and sometimes I hope you'll see him on the American Rebellion Monday, Wednesday at 7 p.m. here on Facebook page, the American Rebellion blogger page. That's where I watch it, and over on LinkedIn, and hopefully on Rumble and any place else he can get on. The only thing I didn't ask Bill was something that came up where someone said, "What about Chuck?" I think Chuck Cook said it last night. What about Dan Bongino as director of the CIA? Not the CIA, director of the Secret Service. Would he take it? I kind of think I blurted out, no, he probably wouldn't take it. The only reason that I meant no, he wouldn't take it is that he's very happy with the Dan Bongino video broadcast, the Dan Bongino show, the radio broadcast, the other things that he does, that he might not want to give up doing that kind of stuff. And maybe what I would have said to Dan if the opportunity came up, if I was the president and I wanted to make him a director of the Secret Service, well, I got to add a director of the Secret Service broadcast once a week, twice a week, for, I don't know, a half an hour, and you give people an update of what you can tell them. Of course, there are a lot of secrets that you can't let out, but let people know what the Secret Service is doing. And I would pull it from the Department of Homeland Security. I don't think it belongs there. I don't know if it should be its own autonomous agency reporting to the president as needed, but I don't believe that it belongs under the Department of Homeland Security. Obviously, FEMA may not belong under the Department of Homeland Security anymore. Maybe it never did. It's time, people. It's time to, rip the government apart brick by brick, decide what we want there and what we don't want there, and what states should be controlling, and go from there. Because if we don't, then we just let the machine, as Bill said, or the enemy, as other people say, the blues, continue to take us in the direction they want. We're not going to be in the direction we want. I can't promise you that there will never be another presidential election if Kamala Harris wins. I can't promise you that Facebook will be available to everybody if Kamala Harris wins. I can't promise you the internet will be available to every American if Kamala Harris wins. I can't promise that the internet will be available to every American the way it is if Donald Trump wins. I don't really want to worry about things like that. We have become so addicted, so connected to the internet that we have it on our devices at home. We have it on our tablets that we take with us. We have it on our phones that we carry with us 24/7. Most of the phone calls I get lately are through Messenger. Aside from calls that I don't want people to call me through Messenger. I have some relatives that want to call me through Messenger. So still use the phone the old-fashioned way. But it is what it is, and it's not the way it should be, or some of us believe it's not the way it should be. And I don't know if it's going to get better. Your vote may help get it better. It may not, but at least you voted and stood up for yourself. And we hopefully united and tried to do what we can. You know, I may I may be the one who has to tell you that they can't sell gas for $1.80 a gallon and support themselves and make the profit, make a reasonable profit, and pay all their employees and maintain whatever they have to make gasoline and sell it at $1.80 a gallon. You know, I don't know, maybe $2. I really don't know, but it needs to be affordable. Everybody needs to be able to have it. Same thing with if you really want an electric vehicle, then go out and buy one. You know, I've said before, if I was still driving and Donna and Donna had to have our car to go to work every day, and I wasn't going, more than maybe 100 miles away from the house at any one time each way, I'd probably look for some kind of an electric vehicle, you know, uh, for for local for local community for local community. But if we were going to drive up to the Northeast and our family up there, Texas, and we have family in other states just to see other states, well, I think I'd probably want to be in a gasoline powered vehicle because there's an abundance of 24-hour gas stations where we're going to be if we need it, and that's just the way I want to be. Uh, Elon Musk is going to move from electric to water engines that make hydrogen that get stored in a fuel cell, and the only thing that's left over, hopefully, is harmless water vapor. Maybe, maybe it's a good thing, but what's going to happen? Where's all the water going to come from? Is water going to become more expensive than gasoline? Because humans buy water because they drink it. They need it to drink. I can't really tell you. It is 11:25, so we're just about done with our hour and 30 minutes for today. Uh, like I said, the American Rebellion is live on Facebook and LinkedIn and other places tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern. If you watch it on Facebook, go to the American Rebellion blogger page and join the live chat there. That's my recommendation. If you don't watch it on Facebook, go to LinkedIn and try to watch it on the American Rebellion page over there. Eventually, I think you will be able to watch it on Rumble again. I don't know where else it's going to go. I'm having a lot of fun over there, really. Working on my constant interrupting and as best as I can. And I understand that everybody can't talk at once, and everybody can't talk about it with everybody else, and all of that. And I'm trying to work on that. I really am. Anyway, it is coming up on 11:30. I thank everybody who watched. Please share the broadcast. That's all I'm going to say. Please share the broadcast everywhere you can on Facebook. Send it to your friends to share it on their profile if you want. Send it, post it in all the groups that you are in on Facebook, all the groups you think that it should be in. And hopefully we will bring the mission to more people on Facebook, and hopefully we'll get more people involved in it, people that want to come on the broadcast and speak for themselves to Facebook Nation about how they feel, and try to make sure we incorporate how you feel. I'm Dave Morgan. You're not. Thank you for the privilege of letting me use your time. I already fed the dog and cat earlier. They're resting comfortably. I do have to make a call and do some hopefully final driver update settings on the new Windows 11 Pro laptop. Although I guess they call it a desktop. They don't call them laptops anymore. I'm very happy with it. And so anyway, I'm Dave Morgan. You're not. Thank you for the privilege of letting me use your time. I hope you channel. I hope you come back tonight. Like I said, at 7 p.m. Eastern on the American Rebellion blogger page here on Facebook. Join everybody with Jerry Michaels and the American Rebellion. And be a part of it. Got something to say? Ask Jerry if you can come on and say it. If you don't, say it in the comments. And be a part of the comments. And like and share and invite your friends to like and share the broadcast as well. I hope by 7 o'clock my sharing restriction will have gone away because I feel that's something that I'm supposed to do when I'm on other people's broadcasts and when I'm on my own broadcast. Being able to do that on my broadcast. I do want to thank, wait a minute, you may not get it here because since I'm not able to share, it might not show me the number of shares and the number of people watching. That would be the extra last thing we're going to say. 1 share and 23 people watching. Hopefully, you can get better people share your podcast, and we'll go from there. There is possibility of a Boogie with the Bull Uncensored tomorrow morning, somewhere in the 10 o'clock to 12 noon hour, meaning that it could start at 10 and be done by 11:30, 12 noon, or it could start anywhere in the 10 o'clock to 12 noon hour, just because I have the studio all day tomorrow. I have the studio all day today, so I'm going to be on the American Rebellion tonight. Unless something happens that I'm not there, but I will hope to be on the American Rebellion tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern on the American Rebellion blogger page over here on Facebook. Then it'll be, like I said, a rare uncensored tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock. You won't see us on Sunday. We may be back on Monday. We may not. I'm not really sure. I think Monday and Wednesday are going to become drop-ins, which means that if I think there's a reason to do one, that I'm then do it. And if people are on and want to join the podcast as well as, and that's what we're going to do. And that will allow me to focus more and be prepared for other things that I do, as well as Tuesday and Thursday night Boogie with the Bull once again. Anyway, I'm Dave Golden. You're out. Double Boots from Victory. This Boogie with the Bull broadcast is coming to an